Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where for the sake of time, I have brought up this vehicle here, and this is an exact copy of the previous one that we slightly failed on last time. It went fine this time. There was an explosion down here. I don't know what blew up when we detached, but it wasn't anything relevant, so it's fine. We are setting up for our inclination change here. This thing is very slow to turn. I've already burned some monoprop, and I burned more than I was expecting, so I would like to not burn additional monoprop at this point, if that's at all possible. But we're just getting ready for our inclination change here to match planes with the Moho Outpost as we go to refuel it. This will be in about 30 seconds. Let's go ahead and warp on forward. Cool. About 10 seconds. We're approximately in position. Turning this thing is very interesting. There's no doubt about that. 3, 2, 1, mark. Okay. That's probably close enough, right? Yeah, 0.0. Fantastic. Okay, so from here we're going to look to rendezvous with it. This is a somewhat elliptical orbit. We would like to rendezvous at the periapsis here. That would be ideal. Or at the apoapsis. Either would be fine, actually. Realistically, we could theoretically do it up here. The timing isn't great, right? We're going to have to match speed either way, but it looks like we'll have to take an orbit. So let's add in an... That was not the button I pressed. Let's add in an orbit here. There we go. That's much closer. So from here, we need to grab this guy and move it a little bit. That's quasi-decent there. Okay. Let's see about tuning that in. Okay, we actually need to warp forward a little bit so that we have a little bit more space to work with. Okay. So we're about 20 kilometers apart here. That was a 0.0. Okay, this is close enough. So we'll align for that burn. That'll take some time to do, but it's only right up over here. So we'll physics warp as we align. There we go. It doesn't feel like we're doing very much turning, and that's because we really aren't. But this is only going to be 52.2 meters per second and then 100 meters per second once we get there to match speed. So we've got lots of fuel in this thing, as we knew we would. This does mean we're likely going to have some significant offset thrust. Unless we might be able to make that work. We might be able to make this work in a reasonable way. Okay, so we're basically in position for this burn now. And let's go ahead and warp on forward. So we're going to have to do a full orbit here, of course, before we get matched up. That's fine. Oh, our periapsis height is down inside the atmosphere now. It's not very inside the atmosphere, so this shouldn't cause a significant issue. I'm not sure when that happened, though. That must have been part of the inclination change, where we just dipped inside. Indeed. We're not going to be in here for long. And I don't expect this to do too much. We're going to start going back up as of about now. We're still going down. This is not exactly the same, but sure. Now we're starting to go up. There we go. Beautiful. So we'll come back out of the atmosphere here, and we'll commence this burn in about half an hour. That was not intended to dip down into the atmosphere, but I don't think that's going to cause any significant issues. No, it really shouldn't. So that seems to be fine. And we're not going to go back around again, I don't think. Actually, start burn in 31 minutes. Time to periapsis 28 minutes. So in that case, we should actually warp around to the apoapsis here, because this is going to be after another orbit. Okay, so we should warp around to the apoapsis here. We're going to be facing the wrong direction, but we could use some RCS monoprop here. I don't love it, but we can try to push this back up so we don't go back into the atmosphere again. Okay. This is going to be quite a long ways. We're still... okay, we're just at the apoapsis right now. Okay. I'm just pushing it up right now. That's all we're looking to do. Okay, there we go. Good enough. So we'll lock to the maneuver node and stop that rotation. How much monoprop did we use there? Some, but not a lot. Good. That's excellent. So we're going to rotate around to the maneuver node. We're back up here, although that's currently going up for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why that's happening. We're not putting any forces in right now, but whatever. Maybe it had to do with the rotation? I don't know. It shouldn't. Regardless, we're not going to go into the atmosphere here. So that's fine. We're going to warp on around and prepare for this burn. We're physics warping as we turn. And very soon now, we will commence this. It's going to be a very minor burn, of course. So we're going to start this burn in 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. That's probably close enough. Yeah, 1.3 kilometers apart. I like it. So we're going to go into target retrograde mode here. There we go. And once we make our way around to target retrograde, then we are, of course, going to warp our way up here. Looks like we're overshooting target retrograde, so I froze physics there to stop that turn. And we're just heading slowly on over. Anti-target's probably close enough. Let's go ahead and warp 8 minutes into the future. Yeah, that's looking reasonable. Excellent. So the Moho Outpost is currently only about 18 kilometers away. Looking good. And of course, now we need to align to target retrograde, which we're working on doing slowly. Cool. And once we align here, just for the sake of timing, add maneuver 102.2. No, we're not going to do it that way. We're just going to be target retrograde, pushing the target node, ideally. So here's reasonably fine. Let's do a small corrective burn, pushing the node onto the retrograde node. No, we want to do it the other way, don't we? Pushing the retrograde node onto the target node. I'm dumb. So we're going to try to rotate this around. It's very slow. Very, very slow. But we knew this. This has very little control. And that's fine. It doesn't really need a lot of control. We just need to get to the point. And in fact, I'm going to be burning while we try to turn here. We just need to get to the point where we are going slowly enough that it doesn't matter, right? So for right now, we're going to be parking here, pushing the retrograde node onto the target node. It's just a small corrective burn to adjust our trajectory. There we go. And we're also slowing down while we're doing this. Throttling up a little bit. Cool. So we can see that node moving a little bit more now. And a little bit more. And Ooh, I want it a little further than that. There, that'll do for now. Now we'll start heading over to target retrograde. We're still moving at about 21.8 meters per second relative to the target, right? So we want to bring this around. We can see that we're now 0.7 kilometers away from intersection. And that's fine. Let's go ahead and physics warp here as we turn. In retrospect, we maybe should have put an ASAS on this. This poor little reaction wheel. It's really struggling. Okay. So now we can see that we need to do a corrective burn the other way. So we're going to throttle up slightly for some attitude control. But more importantly, we're going to move past the retrograde node and push it back along this line, since it's drifted. Man, we have, like, no attitude control here. Okay. That-ish, but that's not exactly what we want. Cool. Let's bring this guy on over. We may actually want to move the station into this, with the amount of attitude control we have here. That may end up not being the worst idea. Okay. So let's go ahead and physics warp as we attempt to turn here. Emphasis on attempt. And we're still making our way in. How far off are we going to be? 0.5 kilometers? Sure. We're trying. We're definitely trying. Okay, we are roughly in position right now. So I'm going to do, if we can get to the other side of the retrograde node. There we go. Man, that's rough. Okay. So at this point, we basically need to go towards target, right? So we're going to point anti-target, since that's much easier for us to get to, if we can get there. And we're just going to push towards it with RCS. Cool. That should be more than enough. We don't want to burn too much monoprop. So at this point, we'll just lock to retrograde and physics warp in a bit. We just want to get closer here, is all we want to do. So 0.8 kilometers is the closest we've got, apparently. This thing is really heavy. Like, it's not wanting to turn. So I think that we're definitely better off trying to bring this into this. So let's go ahead and kill our relative velocities here. There we go. And we'll just do a very slight throttling up. Something like that. And we'll swap over to this guy. We are controlling from here, and we want to set this as our target, right? So let's go ahead and set as target. There we go. And we're going to head over towards target. And we're going to need to pull this in a little bit here. So this guy we're going to want to turn towards us. We'll go ahead and start working on that. We are getting a little bit closer. So that seems reasonably fine-ish. But let's turn this on around. Because at this point, we definitely need to be pointing towards target. Very, very slow process. No doubt about that. This poor reaction wheel. We're not going to run out of electric charge. That's a good sign. But this poor, poor reaction wheel. Okay, that's his actual position. Noted. We need to flip this around to target retrograde then. This is a slow turn too. but it's not as slow. Okay. So let's go ahead and kill the relative velocity here. There, that'll do. Now we'll point towards target. And we will physics warp as we try to do that. Although the physics warp changing the position of the target is pretty rough. So we'll just do something kind of like this. There we go. And now we're going to bring this towards target. Any moment now. Any moment it'll start turning. Okay. So now, of course, we need to get closer, right? We need to do a get closer burn here. So I'm just going to push that very slightly over to get us moving a little bit. We need to get this thing turning, right? It's barely turning right now. That's what we really need. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to adjust our velocity like that. There we go. SAS on. And now we can burn towards this target approximately. Cool. There we go. And now we can adjust it with RCS as we come in. We want to be heading towards target here. And we want to keep adjusting this as we come in. It's going to want to keep drifting. Unfortunately, that's pulling us away from the target, which is unhelpful. Let's freeze that rotation and start heading over this way. But we need to correct this velocity, which starts us turning again. And then we do this and try to head on over, but we just can't turn fast enough. That's the thing here. It just can't be done. We cannot turn fast enough for this particular maneuver. So we're going to have to bring this in. And yeah, just look at that drift. Like, we're heading this direction, we're trying to go this way. That's what's happening right now. And when we RCS over, we get our velocity going the wrong way. So. Ooh. This thing really doesn't want to move at this point. There we go. Brought it back, kinda. But once again, it just drifts right off. So at this point, what we need to do is we need to just bring this guy in. There we go. And now we'll flip this around to retrograde. We're giving up on this for the moment. So we're going to flip this around to target retrograde. And that'll be fine for now. What I want to do is I want to link it up right here in line, or as in line as we can. That would be ideal. Let's just go ahead and warp this forward a little bit and bring this in. Cool. And now we can kill our relative velocity. If we can turn fast enough, which apparently we can't. That's an ongoing issue, it would seem. There. Okay, that'll work. Now we'll point this towards target. And this is pointing towards target as well. Cool. So now we should be somewhat lined up. Emphasis on somewhat. And we can control from here, which doesn't really change anything. But now we can go in at a slow speed, like around 1 meter per second. Cool. Okay. This rotation is going to be the death of us at this point. Let's bring this thing on in. We have a limited amount of time here. And we're going to need to do another RCS round. Yeah, that doesn't really work very well. Well, maybe, actually. That kind of worked. Emphasis on kind of. Okay. Cool. That seems reasonably fine. Reasonably fine. So we're bringing this in very, very gently here. We need to do another round of RCS correction. There we go. And let's see how well we have this lined up. I think it's not tremendously well, but it's very hard to turn both of these craft. And when they get combined together, oh boy. Luckily, we don't need to do precise maneuvers later on. Okay. Beautiful. That is very close to dead on. I love it. That worked really, really well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start pulling fuel out of here and into these tanks, right? That is step one. So we pull fuel out of here, and then we pull it out of here as well. We're probably going to be able to jettison this right away, is my guess. We'll see. Yeah, I think we will. So that'll ditch a lot of this weight, which is good. We're just able to bring this fuel in, and now we can instantly decouple this. We do not need that. This engine should get shut down, if it's not already. Okay, it's not activated. Good. And then this fuel here, we can start pulling out as well. So that'll be something like this. And that should fill both of these tanks. Yep. So at this point, we've just got this weight here, right? And now what we need to do is we need to get prepared for our gravity assist with the moon. So we're going to come around over this way, adding a maneuver, because we are off to Moho now that we've gotten our refuel. So we're going to need to wait a bit here. There we go. That's almost an escape trajectory. That's an escape trajectory. Is it a collision trajectory? No, it is not. It looks good. Okay, so we're going to line up for that. And we can somewhat turn this thing, but it is going to be a bit slow. But that's fine. So we can see that our delta V, particularly up here, is dropped, but we're going to be burning this fuel first and ditching this. So that'll be fine. It'll probably be slightly offset on the thrust, is my guess. And it's a little bit wiggly. But I think it'll be okay. So we're going to go ahead and warp around here. And we'll do a quick test burn to see how this goes. But we are off to Moho. So this burn is going to be in about 50 seconds. Now in about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Seems reasonably okay. Yeah, seems reasonably fine. Beautiful. So, of course, we're going to pin open these fuel tanks. We're going to be pulling from up here for right now. There we go. And now pulling from here. Beautiful. So that's looking good. Once this fuel is exhausted, we will be ditching this. Which, will it last for this entire burn? The answer is no. It will not. So we're going to need to... We're going to need to cut the fuel, or cut the engines here soon. Maybe we'll just keep it for the full burn. We've got another 37 seconds. $30. Yeah, I think we'll just keep this for the full burn. I don't love having this wait here, but we don't have a good way of getting rid of this right now, right? So that's reasonably fine for the moment. 120 meters per second to go here. 5 more seconds in this burn. 3, 2, 1. And that's probably good enough. Yes, it is. Okay, now this is empty, and we ditch it. Off it goes. We no longer need that. This is nearly full. Well, it's like 80% full. So that's okay. And now we're going to simply warp over to here. Let's go. Beautiful. So we definitely have a lot more fuel than we would have. Is it enough? Hopefully. Hopefully. We'll see. Okay, so this warp is going to be done here. We're now going to warp over to here. Goodbye, Moon. Thank you for the gravity. Later. And off we go. What is the inclination of Moho? I've gone to Moho like once. That's why I'm so tentative about this, I guess I would say. This is 9 days in the future? That's probably about right. Yeah, let's go ahead and warp here. Moho is at quite an inclination. Noted. So, 6.7 degrees. Gotcha. We need to exit here. There we go. Now we have a descending node to look at. 7.3 degrees. Okay. That's exciting. Very exciting. Wow, that inclination change is a lot of delta V. Okay. Let's combine it together with some retrograde. Yikes. Absolutely yikes on that transfer there. I'm wondering if we can get this more efficiently on the other side. Because that's an absolute yikes right there. Big ol' yikers. So let's try it over here, where we are going to toss in some of... Whoa. Why is it... Okay. There's some floating point issues here. There's no doubt about that. So how do we want to do this? How indeed. So you can see here, it's like resetting the orbit because it's recalculating this Kerbal encounter. So we need to deal with that Kerbal encounter. At the apoapsis, we could drop our periapsis enough to where that hopefully wouldn't happen. And it would end up being something a little bit more like this. That's a possibility. I don't necessarily love the situation, but sure. We could think about it. But we're definitely starting to run into some Delta V issues going into Moho. We're not going to have that issue with Duna. We may start to hit it a little bit with Dress, but I don't think so. It's Jewel and that system where we're really going to start having some issues there. So let's go ahead and warp around here. If we need to send additional fuel here, we can. We know we've got plenty of fuel to get it here. We could even send it up with some sort of a nuclear engine to get it here more efficiently, in theory. Okay, so let's bring this around. And let's just correct our orbit a little bit so that we don't have this intercept going on. Okay, is that clean enough? Hopefully that's clean enough. So, at the descending node was where we wanted to try this. We wanted to add a maneuver here, and we wanted to do some of this number, right? And then pull this in. That's really weird. I have no idea what this thing is doing right now. Okay. Sure. 1.2 degrees, huh? .4 degrees? Actually, this is looking like an okay attempt. We might be able to find something here. The radial burn is wacky. No doubt about that. And the actual timing is a little weird. Yeah, it's the timing that's the problem here. Oh, hello, what was that? That looked really promising. Yes. Yes. 2,000 meters per second. What's our relative speed going to be? It's going to be high, I think. Really high. We can also see... Well, we need to tune this. Definitely. We need to tune this maneuver. So there's our maneuver. Okay. Where are we? This is very sensitive. Okay. Other direction a little bit. Let's get rid of the radial for the moment. I did not want to add an orbit. We need to change the overall timing of this burn. That's very clear. But we can, I think, fine-tune this in a little bit and find ourselves a reasonable encounter here. But man, that timing is awkward. I'm going to restart this. We know that the descending node is here, right? So we're going to pull this back a ways. And we're going to change our overall inclination. To be a bit more... I did not want to get any radial in there right now. A bit more like this. This is feeling cleaner. Okay. So we can see that our timing isn't quite where we want it to be. That said, we could do something like this, and then afterwards, this is only 112.3 meters per second. That doesn't feel right. Oh, we have this maneuver here. Get rid of that. No wonder things were feeling weird. Okay, that's more like it. Okay, let's try this one more time here. And it is past time to put a cut in here. We're going to go ahead and do that soon. But I do want to get this pulled around. This is feeling much more accurate here. Okay, yes. So that's 0.0 there. We are close to an encounter. That gets us a quasi-decent encounter there. Close to the periapsis. Okay. From here, we can try to fine-tune this in. I'm trying to find some verticality to it here. Oh, hello. Yeah, you can see just how fast we're going here. So we want to come in something kind of like this. Now, how much delta V is it going to be to break? Yikes. We're going to need to find a better encounter than this, I bet. Yeah, that's 4,000 delta V there. We can find a better encounter. I'm pretty confident in that, but that will take time. It's well past time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode, we'll see about finding ourselves a better way to get there. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including Casserole, ALS Gamer, Kentuin, James, Shadowwolf, Mlohan80, Kentogan, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Unisol, Kadra, Rogue Corvid, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time. I kind of ended that a little early. Okay. Well, I said the important part. Sounds good.